And Federer finds a way to number 6.
He's the champ again.
Two great moments tonight. One was Roger Federer just losing all of his emotions and happily in front of the world, showing us what it means. The other was Rod Laver just taking a moment to capture it all on his own phone. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
It's surreal. And it's nice to see Federer break down with emotion in a positive way. We've seen him break down here after a really difficult loss. We've seen Rafael Nadal embrace him and support him in that difficult moment. This time, the tears of joy for Federer as he gets a little special time with this wonderful trophy for the 6th time, tying Novak Djokovic now and Roy Emerson as the men to win the most of these in the Open era.
He's going to have to come back, isn't he?
I would hope so. I'm sure he plans on it.
So Roger's just waving to the fans at Margaret Court Arena. He's not far from coming up the stairs here in the studio and sitting down with Jim and I.
Look at the shoes there. When have you ever seen Roger Federer change out of his match shoes into another pair of shoes for a trophy ceremony? And 20 times, that's the first time that I can recall.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Do you reckon they've got number 6 on them, and maybe rather than Flinders Street Station, Fed Square?
It might be worth a question.
Okay. We will ask him. If you're an early adopter of this man, you took him on as your favourite in 2003 when he beat Mark Philippoussis. You've had some sort of a ride.
Yeah, he's had so many fans that have been with him from the beginning, because especially connoisseurs of the game love that he's a throwback player.
Yep.
He's a player that could connect to all eras. If you put a wood racket in his hand, he would play in the same style. I said that the other night when he was playing Richard Gasquet, the stylish Frenchman who is also of that ilk, can play at any era with the way that they strike the ball. Certainly has maximized it with the current technology. Federer on his way, I believe. Is he heading to Margaret Court Arena to visit with the fans there, or has he already seen them?
Well, I've been told he's seen the fans at Margaret Court Arena. So that means he's sort of not far from drifting our way. He'll come through here, Garden Square. I mean, if you have a look behind us now, Jim, what are those? A couple of thousand people just waiting for the King of the Courts to come and say hello again. So, you know, he's not far away. Not a bad tweet to just fire off. 20. That's all you need.
Yeah,
20.
Pretty magical.
The world knows.
Yeah,
it's a big number to walk around with. I mean, number 2, depending on what happens with Rafa in Where does he play next? I think he's Acapulco.
Scheduled to try and play in Acapulco at the beginning of March.
If he doesn't, Roger's every chance to skip back to 1. So he carries that number 1 ranking again. 302 weeks already at 1. 20 majors, continues to tick by. Hugo and his favourite at Wimbledon, probably the US Open.
Yeah, question mark though, Hamish. Does he skip the clay court season like he did last year? He's announced that he's planning to go to Africa on behalf of his charity and spend some time down there in April, which is when the clay court season kicks off. Now, the question is whether he'll opt to try and play maybe one tournament, maybe Rome, the Italian Open, and then the French Open, or if he'll do what he did last year. Boy, based on his grass court season last year, seems likely he'll skip the clay once again and give Rafa, I mean, Rafa's the huge favorite at Roland Garros if he's healthy anyway, but Rafa a chance to kind of get that gap closed up again from where we stand right now.
He carries a couple of things. He carries records in this sport like few others have and continues to add to them, but he carries one of the world's most famous faces, does it effortlessly. But he continues to dominate a sport when the sport has never been more global. And in an era when, arguably, we've never seen a better collection of players. I mean, we're just looking at some of the highlights, but he's achieved these milestones with Novak around, with Rafa around, and earlier with Sampras finishing, Agassi. I mean, the whole thing just adds up to a story that you actually can't believe.
No, it will be an amazing movie at some stage when they make the movie on Roger Federer. And flying down here, I got to see 2 tennis movies, A Battle of the Sexes, Billie Jean King's movie against Bobby Riggs, and then Borg McEnroe. So at some stage, Serena Williams and the Williams sisters, there'll be a movie there, and there certainly will be one on Roger and most likely Rafa as well. But his durability, again, is so remarkable. When you look at his major competition, the Big Five, the guys from Wawrinka to Rafa to Novak to Murray, he's the only one that's of good health, in good health right now. And not that he's certainly standing the test of time tennis-wise, but also physically. And his challengers, everyone works hard. everyone works hard and time waits for no one, but he's managing his body clock better than anyone in this era so far, which is pretty remarkable.
At some point, Father Time will win the last point and have a win over Roger, but 3 of the last 5, as you said, I mean, he's continuing to pick up majors like he's sort of bulk buying at Coles. It's like 3 of the last 5, Rafa the other 2.
Well, look, Murray is possibly not even going to play the grass court season. That's when he might be coming back from hip surgery that he had down here in Melbourne. Djokovic, it's unclear whether he's going to need elbow surgery coming off of his result here where his elbow wasn't at full capacity. Nadal on grass has not been certainly at his best in the last few years. So for Federer, I mean, it looks to me like Marin Cilic may be his biggest threat at Wimbledon right now. I mean, it could be a rematch of last year's final if they get on the opposite halves of the draw. Who knows where we go from here, but assuming that Federer stays healthy and he can continue to sort of avoid any injury issues, I would think that he's, again, going to be a big favorite at Wimbledon because that surface is so good for him. So
Roger's finally making his way towards us. To put his longevity into some kind of perspective, he played Leighton in the 04 US Open final. Leighton's body started deteriorating then. They're only a few months apart. Leighton's born in February. And Roger's born in August. It's just a different style of game. Leighton had to grind for every single point. Roger simply doesn't. As we see Roger carrying the trophy now with his agent in the green hat, there's a gentleman just to the right who has an RF Nike shirt that says 20 on it. You can see him, he's just in the right corner there. You can see the 2-0 pop out. So Nike definitely making some preparations. I don't know who he's on the phone with. We'll ask him that question, I presume, when he get up here. But someone important on the line for Roger. And he's not far from us. His team around him, sort of extended family. I was doing something earlier just before the Open, and I've forgotten the young man's name that's wearing the number 20, but he's sort of Tony Godzik's right-hand man. Okay. And it's like they're all part of, this is a guy who's a huge part of my life. This guy over here is a huge part of my life. This guy over here looks after this. Pierre looks after this. It is a corporation that makes sure this finely tuned athlete continues to purr. Yeah, well, Roger certainly has known how to delegate things in his life and to take pressure off of his plate from all the other things swirling around him. He's had the intelligence to bring in people like Ivan Ljubicic, a former player that Roger played a lot against. Ljubicic was coaching Milos Raonic successfully, and Roger convinced him to come on with him and join Severin Luthi as his coaching team, and that's been a really instrumental part of his success here in the last couple of years, because the backhand, the power and the pace on that and the intensity on that, I think, is largely derived from Ljubicic's pressing him to do that. You're going to like the answer to who he's just speaking to. Let's hear it. I've just been told in my ear by our producer. The president of Switzerland. Very nice. Very appropriate. The president of Switzerland is on the line, Roger. Sure. Let's talk. Thank you, sir. No, it's been terrific. We'll have a coffee when I get back to the homeland. That's the president of the United States Tennis Association and of Tennis Australia, and then that's the chairman of the All England Club, Philip Brooks. So you have the 3 of the 4 leaders of the other majors here, or 2 of the 3 there. Chairman of Tennis Australia, chairwoman, chairperson. Absolutely. We're just missing the president of the French Tennis Federation to make this a clean sweep of the Grand Slams. 743,667. It's a record in terms of attendance again to come and watch the world's best. And Andy Murray wasn't about the place. Serena Williams missed for the very best of reasons. But this tournament, Jim, is run, and I've only been to Wimbledon. I've never been to the US Open or at Roland Garros, but it is run in the players' view as well as any, is it not? Yeah, absolutely. The way that they look after the players here, the attention to detail from when you arrive on your plane and everyone's waiting for you there to get you into town, the consistent approach to trying to raise prize money for the players year in and year out and being a leader in that role amongst the Grand Slams is definitely noticed and appreciated by the players, and the continuing investment in this facility, which continues to set the bar amongst the majors, I think also weighs heavily with the players and their appreciation for coming down here. I was looking at some numbers coming tonight. I mean, 30 is the number of finals that Roger has now found himself in. He won 10 of his first 11, 91% after 11 major finals. Extraordinary. Then won 9 of the last 18. But importantly, you know, he's won 3 in a row now. Beat Rafa here last year and then Marin the last 2. He's on a roll right now, and with what has happened about the place, if he misses Roland Garros, might be 4 in a row. 4 in a row. Never done that before? I'm just looking at Josh, our researcher. At the start he did. 4 in a row. So we've got to go right back to 04, 05. I'll get the numbers, but I mean, at 36, 37, wow.
Yeah, and who's to say how long he plays? Of course, Jimmy Connors made that amazing run in the U.S. Open as he turned 39. Connors' a birthday right around the U.S. Open, same as Federer. I think it's easy to suggest that Federer could be doing something along those lines here in a few years' time.
The man that stands on top of the mountain is Ken Muscles, 74 U.S. Open. He was almost 40. 39 in 310 days.
Yeah, when he made the final there, Connors taking him out, but incredible. And he also made the Wimbledon final that same year, back-to-back at nearly 40 years old. It's just phenomenal. And he still looks like he could go out there and crank that slice backhand down the line.
What happens from here? Tomorrow he wakes up. He's got obligations everywhere. He's got press shoot. He's got to stand by the Yarra, hold a kangaroo or something.
That's assuming he goes to sleep. Last year, they didn't get a whole lot of sleep. They had a pretty big celebration. I expect they'll have another one this evening.
He said he partied like a rock star last year.
It's about to get really loud out here in the square. It's still full back here behind us, Sanders. This is going to be a loud interview. I hope you have your earpiece turned up loud.
Yeah. He is a tennis player, but he feels, I think, now he's got an obligation to the sport. He's got an obligation to the fans to entertain. His interviews now go longer than ever before. He's more expansive. He's more relaxed. He's in a stage of his career where, you know, the initial part was, I've got to win and prove myself. Then there was this huge pressure piece where I'm expected to win. But now it's like anything's a bonus. And I'm freewheeling.
Yep, but he may be freewheeling, but you can still see how much it means to him. Everything is still very intense for him as far as the emotional connection to these moments at the majors.
Straight down, yep.
This is my nervous bit. It's live, Roger, it's live.
Hey!
Hey!
Nice to see you, thank you. Thank you.
It's Alex Correia, former Spanish player, just up on the deck, and Roger's turning the corner to us here right about now. Take the time, we're good.
That water's yours, Roger, if you're wanting it. I'm sure this doesn't get old, but...
No, it's so nice to see all the fans. It's great. You know, they make it special. They are the ones that get the emotions out of the players, out of myself, and a big reason why I'm still playing, I tell you that.
You said to Jim, the first major rocked your world. That was a long time ago.
Big time.
What does 20 do to your world? I mean, you seemed as emotional as you've been in a long time.
Well, it's different emotional, clearly. The first one's like, oh my God, you know, like I was able to win one. The rest now, it doesn't really matter at this point. I'm a Wimbledon champion. I'm a Grand Slam champion. I'm probably be top 3 in the world. You know, everything changes in your life after that win. And this one here tonight reminded me more of a maybe 2006 win I had here when I beat Baghdadis, I think, in the finals, and had a great run to the finals. I was a huge favorite going in, and I was keeping it, you know, the composure. The matches maybe weren't brutally emotional, you know, getting to the finals. And then I was just so relieved when everything was said and done, and I think I felt the same way tonight, and that's why I couldn't speak. It was terrible.
It wasn't terrible. It was a beautiful moment.
Thank you.
Within the match here, you got off to a great start, and you hadn't dropped the set all tournament. In the second set, he flipped the switch, and he turned it around and made a match. What was going through your mind when the second set went his way and you entered that third set?
Well, that was the problem. Really, I think my thoughts were all over the place. All day, you know, I was just thinking, what if I lost? What if I won? And every minute of the day. And that's the tough part when the match is played so late. You have so much time to think about it. Thank God I slept till like 11 o'clock. So imagine if I woke up at 7 and then I'm up for 12 hours before the match. So I mean, by the time the match comes around, you're a wreck. But no, I got off a flyer, which was great. But then that made me think of, what if I won? My God, that'd be so cool. Then I had my chances. Marin played well, and then I just think I froze in the tiebreaker, and at the end of the second, I just think I got really nervous, and I think that's why I lost that second set and couldn't, you know, take control of the match, really. And then it got a match, and it got tight, and I think Marin helped me out in the third and in the fifth to stretch the lead a little bit, so I got a little bit lucky tonight, I think.
Well, in the fourth set, you're up 2-1. You're up a break. You had a chance to take a 2-break lead there. You're such a good front runner. And he flipped it around a little bit the way that you flipped it on Rafa last year in the fifth set from 3-1 up. So when you got to the end of the fourth set into the fifth, where was your head then?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't stop the bleeding almost. It was terrible, you know. It was a bad feeling to have because he was in control. He was the one, you know, calling the shots now all of a sudden. And the problem in that fourth set is, like, my mind was just so all over the place. And, you know, I was telling myself, I'm so close right now. Just don't mess it up. And that's exactly when you mess it up. It always happens, and it's crazy. So I'm just happy I got a second chance in the fifth set to do better. And I had to get lucky, to be quite honest, in the beginning of the fifth because he was feeling it. He had the second serves on the break points, and I mean, I personally don't think I'll come back if he breaks me first. But you know, crazier things have happened, like last year.
Roger, there's a moment in the third, 3-love, you're sitting down. Were you talking to yourself when you said, "Talk to me, talk to me"? There was a ball kid there, and we were just sort of.
No, I was telling the umpire. You know, because I like it when they tell me how many more games are played until new balls come around. And I can't start calculating how many games have been played. And so I was just asking the umpire to help me out. Please think for me as well a little bit. So anyway, but it was all good.
You know, last year you took this guy Norman for a tour in Switzerland. You took him all over the place. So,
we wouldn't get rid of him.
Yeah, so what are the plans for this year with Norman now that you get him for another run?
I don't know. We'll see. Last year was all just, there we go. I took him up in a bag up to the mountains. We went with a snowcat, is that what you call it? We went with a gondola, then a ski lift.
Like a glacier.
And all I wanted is really actually have a lunch with my wife, my mom, and some of our friends were skiing. And I can't go there anymore because, you know, I'm not skiing at the moment. I'm too scared. So I said, like, you know, let me bring the trophy Norman that we named Norman because of Norman Brooks Challenge Trophy. So I was just having fun with it. And then I said, like, well, I always had this idea. There was, you know, Alingid, our America's Cup team, you know, when we won it from New Zealand way back when. He had the idea once, Ernesto Bertarelli, to bring it to the Matterhorn in Switzerland. And I thought that was such a cool idea. So let me bring it to the Swiss mountains because I was right there and it was this beautiful sunny day, and that's what I did. And I think the pictures are terrible, but they're actually so epic because seeing Norman in the snow is just unexpected, you know.
Norman in the snow. This is Rod Laver about to show you. This is Rod taking images of you. He thought the moment tonight was so extraordinary that he wanted to capture it. I mean, the fact that he's now on Twitter's one thing. He's got an iPhone roller and he's capturing you.
Oh, he's the best, the Rocket. I'm so happy when I see him every time. Like any legend of the game, like yourself, Jim, or others. That's why I think, you know, I thank you guys every time because it's because of them that I play tennis. It's that simple. And to see the Rocket front row, even taking a picture, my God, that was epic. I didn't even see it happening because I was crying too much, and I couldn't see through the tears. They were so thick.
Your parents couldn't see you. Yvonne couldn't see you. Your wife could. Everyone was crying. It was just.
But were they? I couldn't lift my head. I was just too embarrassed. That was terrible.
Now we asked a few favourite interviewer of the Open. Will Ferrell John McIntosh or Jim Courier?
I enjoyed Jim. We had some good moments. We had some fun. Yeah, I like having fun. You know, back in the day, we never had interviews.
We didn't have that.
And now
there was
we
no
have that.
smoldering intensity.
No, there was no smoldering going on. But anyway, we had a great time, and I enjoyed every interview with you. So
thank you.
Hope it wasn't the last. This one.
I hope not. What about tonight? Last year, I flew with one of your coaches, Severin Luthi, on the day after you won here. He was not feeling well. He did not sleep much. So, and he said you were up dancing and involved in the party. What's the plan for tonight, the celebration with your team?
Well, the good thing is when you have a lot of people, right? When you have a lot of friends around and a big team, parties are more fun. So I'm sure somebody has organized something, maybe even the same place like last year. It was private, was nice. We had a DJ, we could request songs, we could be silly all night. And the night is still so young, you know, it's only 11:45. So, and the Severin's got a flight at 6. So we got plenty of time.
He's going straight to
Yeah, we're going straight. He's actually here somewhere.
Roger, we're going to let you go, but your shoes. Jim noticed, he said he'd never seen you change shoes after a win before.
I don't know. I like changing shoes for the ceremony these days. I did the same in Shanghai.
Okay.
So, I don't know. It just changed it up a little bit from the tennis shoes that we wear all the time.
Well, those shoes next year will have to have a 6 on them instead of a 5. That's
true.
pretty good.
Very cool.
And we're thinking instead of Flinders Street Station, have Fed Square. Sort of appropriate.
Oh, yeah, Fed
you like
Square.
that?
Yeah, that'd be very cool.
Okay.
I have to make sure, I have to see if it looks good on the shoe. Do you think it looks good, the Federation Square?
You can make it look
Yeah, we'll make it good. Yeah, we'll rock it.
Congratulations on a wonderful Open.
Thank you very much for having me.
Great
Loved
to have
it.
you here.
Appreciate it.
Roger Federer, extraordinarily half a dozen Norman Brooks Challenge Cups. Hope you enjoyed the Open. It's Roger and Caroline Wozniak who leave as the champions. Davis Cup on Friday, Federation Cup the weekend after that. Have a good year. Bye for now.